The Clark Comet wiped out more than 75% of Earth. Even 5 years later, the world still hadn't recovered. Fragments of the comet continued orbiting the planet, occasionally crashing down. The Garrity family survived the catastrophe along with other refugees by taking shelter in a bunker in Greenland. Inside, the survivors struggled to rebuild civilization, but this new world has descended into chaos. Radiation has scorched vast regions, and sudden electromagnetic storms sweep through, destroying everything in their path, forcing humanity to remain underground. After 5 years, people have somehow adapted to these harsh living conditions. John Garrity now works as both an engineer and an explorer, tasked with dangerous missions. While surveying a region, he discovers a newly formed fissure with lava flowing from it. He then heads toward the coastline, where he finds several lifeboats and the wreckage of a cruise ship stranded on the shore. Upon inspecting them, he realizes they are completely abandoned. Hoping to salvage something useful, he boards the ship. A warning comes from the base that a storm is forming, though it will take time to reach his location. Struggling with heavy coughing, John briefly removes his mask. As he searches the ship, he finds a flower pressed inside a book. Suddenly, the base alerts him that the storm has accelerated and is already closing in. He must evacuate immediately. He rushes off the vessel, with the radioactive storm right behind him, sprinting toward the bunker and ordering them to open the door. They comply, though they cannot keep it open for long or the storm will breach the base. He tells them to shut it, narrowly diving through the closing door just before the storm reaches him. His wife, Allison, has become one of the leaders inside the bunker. During a council meeting, Adam, another leader, reports that their supplies are critically low. He suggests attempting to grow crops outside next year. However, Dr. Amina opposes the idea, explaining it won't be viable. She insists they must eventually evacuate the bunker by air, since it is no longer sustainable. Canada and the United States have been devastated, and Iceland has vanished entirely. Allison mentions hearing that Western Europe is comparatively safer due to fewer storms, but she is reminded that radiation levels there are still dangerous. Even small exposure is harmful over time. When someone asks about the massive crater, Dr. Amina explains that the primary fragment of the comet that struck Western Europe created an enormous impact basin. Together with her team, she calculated that the mountains formed around it and the crater's depth are blocking radioactive winds, making the region potentially suitable for new life. Still, the general points out that Europe is far from Greenland, and reports indicate violent conflicts are already breaking out there. After the meeting, John visits a psychiatrist who asks how he's adjusting to this new reality. John replies that he has grown accustomed to it. The doctor advises him to communicate openly with his partner about everything he's feeling. Suddenly, the bunker begins to shake, though the tremor soon subsides. The general reassures everyone not to panic, reminding them that the bunker withstood the original comet impact. It can endure an earthquake as well. Allison then brings up a distress signal they recently intercepted, but Adam argues they cannot take in more survivors because the bunker is already at capacity. Refusing to abandon those in need, Allison requests that the matter be decided by vote. The majority supports launching a rescue operation, and the general agrees to send a team the following day. Meanwhile, Allison and John's son, Nathan, attend school within the bunker, where he has developed a fascination with astronomy. His teacher explains that fragments of the Samra comet remain trapped in Earth's gravitational pull, forming a ring around the planet. Elsewhere, John works alongside a friend repairing the bunker's water plumbing system. When they finally succeed, they celebrate the small but meaningful victory. Later, Allison and Nathan head to the community hall and meet John, who gives her the flower he recovered from the ship. Though she appreciates the gesture, Allison worries about the radiation he faces during his expeditions. Still, she thanks him for his efforts. They then speak with Nathan, and Allison reveals that he was spotted outside earlier. His father scolds him, warning that it's too dangerous, and grows frustrated when Nathan asks if he can go out again.
Allison jokes that he's becoming just like his father, always eager to venture outside despite the risks. Wanting to enjoy what little normalcy they have, the family spends part of the evening dancing together. Later, Nathan returns to his room to gaze at the stars. He has pierced tiny holes in his bedsheet, creating his own constellations. The following morning, a rescue team prepares and sets out on their mission. Mission Control, along with military leaders, oversees the rescue operation. The team successfully retrieves survivors and begins heading back to the bunker. Meanwhile, John returns to his duties and notices his friend looking uneasy. His concern becomes clear when John spots a fissure forming along the wall. During the return trip, the rescue team requests authorization to proceed to a second site where more survivors are trapped. Adam refuses, insisting they cannot support additional people. Allison wants to open the matter for discussion, but before anything can be decided, communication with the team is suddenly lost. At that very moment, the bunker is rocked by a violent earthquake. Power fails, and fractures spread across the walls as the structure begins to give way. Everyone scrambles to protect one another while the facility collapses around them. When the tremors finally subside, John regains his footing with help from his friend. His first instinct is to find Allison. He rushes to her and supports her, relieved to see she's unharmed. Together, they hurry to locate their son. Nathan is safe and already wearing his mask. They tell him to gather essentials, including his insulin since he is diabetic. John runs to retrieve additional masks. Using them, the family attempts to evacuate, but the main exit is jammed with panicked survivors. John leads them toward an alternate route, only to find it blocked by rubble. Despite the collapse, they manage to crawl beneath the concrete. He forces the door open, though the structure begins shaking again. They dash outside just before it caves in behind them. On the surface, chaos erupts as crowds rush toward the shoreline. For a brief, terrifying moment, they lose sight of Nathan, only to find him assisting Dr. Amina. Reunited, they continue toward the sea, where lifeboats are already overcrowded. Nearby, they see a group attempting to steal Adam's mask and rush to help him. Amid the turmoil, someone snatches John's mask. They manage to break free from the mob and spot an open lifeboat. They scramble aboard and seal the hatch, even as others desperately try to get in. The pilot quickly steers away from the coast. Moments later, a massive wave rises in the distance. They brace for impact as the tsunami crashes ashore, sweeping away those left behind.
Their boat survives the surge. Now adrift, they must choose a destination. With only a week's worth of supplies, they decide to head for England. John soon realizes radiation levels are low enough for them to remove their masks. Days pass, and the vessel begins malfunctioning, but John's engineering skills allow him to repair it. At night, Nathan marvels at the sky. Debris from the comet still glitters in Earth's orbit. He proudly points out constellations he learned about in school. Suddenly, a meteor streaks across the sky, and they wonder where it will strike. The following morning, the boat stalls again. This time, the pilot announces they've run out of fuel, leaving them at the mercy of ocean currents. As days drag on, tension rises among the passengers. Eventually, the hull collides with something submerged. Investigating, they discover an underwater structure. John recognizes it immediately. It's Liverpool, with half the city now beneath the sea. They row toward dry ground, disembark, and begin searching for shelter. Spotting groups of survivors, they follow them to a rescue bunker. A crowd presses at the entrance, but armed soldiers control access. Reaching the gate, they explain they're from the Greenland bunker and request asylum. The guards demand identification. Only Allison still has hers, the others lost theirs during the escape. Without proper ID, the soldiers refuse entry. Panic erupts as more people surge forward. To contain the chaos, the soldiers open fire, killing Adam and shooting further to force the gates shut. In the confusion, the group becomes separated. A radioactive storm looms on the horizon. John tells Amina they must leave immediately. Adam is already gone. The 4 survivors stop a passing car and plead for help. The driver agrees in exchange for John's watch, which he reluctantly hands over. They drive off, narrowly outrunning the radioactive storm. During the ride, Dr. Amina asks whether the entire world has become like this. The driver grimly confirms it. Humanity is turned ruthless. People will kill to survive, and sudden storms wipe out anyone caught in their path. They decide to travel to London, where Allison's friend Mackenzie lives. They last spoke 8 to 10 months earlier, and she seemed well prepared to endure the new world. Along the way, Nathan asks Dr. Amina if she truly believes the crater exists. She says she does, comparing it to the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs, destruction that ultimately allowed new life to rise. Without that event, humanity wouldn't exist. The driver suddenly slows. London is only 30 minutes away. John begins discussing the crater with him, suggesting it might offer hope, but the driver dismisses it as nothing more than a fairy tale. Nathan approaches his father just as the ground begins to tremble. John shouts for everyone to grab hold of something. He pulls Nathan close and clings to a tree. A meteor shower erupts overhead. Countless fragments rain down as they hold on for their lives. Amid the chaos, John notices the driver sprinting back toward the car. He warns him to stop. Another meteor is falling. The driver insists the vehicle is all he has and keeps running. He is struck instantly by falling debris. When the barrage ends, they retrieve their belongings from the damaged car and continue on foot toward London. Eventually, they reach Mackenzie's house. She greets them at gunpoint, but the moment she recognizes them, her face lights up with relief. She welcomes them inside. The house is filled with Alzheimer's patients.
She explains they have no awareness of the meteor catastrophe, and she dedicates her days to keeping them calm and happy. That has become her purpose now. That evening, they share a rare moment of peace. John asks her about the crater, but she says she's only heard rumors about it. They hear gunfire echoing in the distance, but Mackenzie reassures them there's no immediate danger. She explains that London remains relatively secure and that she has fortified the house as much as possible. That night, while everyone is asleep, Allison hears John coughing violently and goes to check on him. She is horrified to see him coughing up blood. John finally confesses that his work as an explorer, constantly exposed to radioactive air, has taken a severe toll on his body. The damage is irreversible. He has only 6 weeks left to live. He insists he didn't want to burden them with the truth. Allison argues that they are in a hospital setting and treatment might still be possible, but John refuses. He doesn't want to die there. Instead, he wants them to travel to the crater. He hopes to spend whatever time he has left helping them reach a safe haven, determined to secure a better future for their son. The following morning, they prepare to leave. Mackenzie provides them with a vehicle, supplies, and a firearm for protection, urging them to depart quickly. Their next objective is to find a boat to cross the English Channel. Since the journey by car will be long, they pass the time by playing small games along the way. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Amina is shot. Armed raiders are attacking to steal the car. They jump out as John grabs the gun and fires back. One assailant tries to ambush him from behind, but John takes him down. When he runs out of ammunition and another attacker advances, Allison grabs a weapon from one of the fallen men and shoots. After the skirmish, they rush to Nathan, relieved that he is unharmed, but Amina has died from her wound. They bury her there, and John says a few words to honor her properly. Nathan asks why people pray for the dead, and John explains that it's a way of wishing them peace and good fortune in the afterlife. Hours later, they finally reach the English Channel, only to be stunned. The sea is gone. The seabed has become solid land, stretching from Great Britain to France. On the bright side, they no longer need a boat, so they continue driving straight across. After several more hours, traffic comes to a halt. A massive canyon blocks the path ahead. They exit the car and move forward, discovering that survivors have constructed makeshift bridges to cross. At the bridge entrance, Nathan hesitates, terrified. John encourages him to be brave, and together they step onto the narrow structure. The crossing is perilous. Strong winds batter them from all sides. A sudden gust nearly throws them off, but they cling tightly and push forward. They reach a central platform, though several more crossings remain. Without warning, the ground begins shaking again. They must hurry. They crawl across a ladder bridge, but midway through, another quake strikes. The rope bridge beside them snaps, sending many people plunging into the canyon. Their ladder bridge sways violently. A panicked man tries to retreat, but the path behind him is gone. Seeing no choice, he leaps onto their bridge, colliding with Nathan. Nathan slips but manages to grab the ladder as John pulls him back up while the platform collapses behind them. They rush the remaining distance and barely make it to the other side as the entire structure crumbles into the abyss. Continuing on foot, they head deeper inland. With everything in ruins, they can't even tell if they've officially reached France. Suddenly, an armed man confronts them. John quickly introduces himself, assuring him they mean no harm and are only trying to reach the crater. The man lowers his weapon, shakes their hands, and tells them to follow him. He leads them to an abandoned mill in Calais, which he has converted into a shelter powered by solar energy. He explains they filter the radioactive air as best they can. Inside, he introduces them to his wife and daughter, Camelia. His wife is paralyzed and unable to speak, a consequence of radiation exposure. They share a meal together. When asked why they seek the crater, John explains they've heard it's humanity's last refuge, the Promised Land. The man warns them that the region is extremely dangerous. The Western Alliance, alongside remnants of the French military, defends the crater against the Eastern Alliance, which seeks to seize its resources. The entire zone has become an intense war front, nearly impossible to cross.
That night, Camila shows Nathan her room, and he shares his constellation-covered blanket with her. Meanwhile, Allison asks John about what his father told him privately before they entered the Greenland bunker. John reveals that his father made him promise to protect her and Nathan no matter what. The next morning, the Frenchman gives them a map outlining a route that might help them avoid the worst of the fighting. It won't be easy, but once they reach a Western Alliance base, John must ask for Commander Jennett and show him a photograph. Jennett is an old friend who may help them reach the crater. He then makes one more request. They must take his daughter with them. She deserves a chance at a better life and shouldn't remain behind. Allison, overhearing, promises they will bring her safely to the crater. Camila tearfully says goodbye to her parents before joining them. They set out once more toward the crater. During a rest stop, they try to lighten the mood by playing small family games, but soldiers soon spot them. The troops belong to the Western Alliance and inform them in French that civilians are forbidden in the area. While the others struggle to understand, Camila speaks up in fluent French, explaining they are searching for Commander Jennett, a friend of her father, who can grant them passage to the crater. The soldiers insist it's impossible. John pleads for assistance. That night, however, one soldier secretly agrees to guide them through the war zone, where the Western and Eastern Alliances are locked in a brutal battle over control of the crater. The soldier instructs them to stay low as they move through the battlefield. Following his lead, they manage to reach a bunker complex excavated by the Western Alliance. After passing countless lifeless bodies scattered across the ground, the soldiers escort them to a transport truck, which carries them to a nearby base camp where Commander Jennett is supposedly stationed. Camila points toward the towering formations ahead, noting that those mountains are newly formed, meaning the crater must lie just beyond them. Around the camp, they see large numbers of civilians waiting for passage to the crater. John approaches the officer in charge and asks about Commander Jennett, presenting the photograph as proof of their connection. Instead of helping, the officer grimly shows them Jennett's corpse. Desperate, they ask for directions to the crater, but the officer refuses and orders them to leave the area. John pleads, explaining that he is a dying man whose only wish is to get his family to safety. Moved by his words, the soldier quietly instructs a subordinate to make room for them on an outbound bus. They board and finally begin their journey toward the crater. However, during transit, the bus is ambushed by bandits. The attackers quickly eliminate the guards, and when the driver attempts to flee, they shoot him. Declaring the vehicle theirs, they force all passengers to disembark. John urges the others to keep moving while he stays behind. Once everyone is off, he launches a surprise attack on the bandits. One of his companions tries to assist, but is overpowered. Moments later, 2 gunshots echo from inside the bus. John emerges alive but wounded. The group rushes to tend to his injuries before reboarding, with Allison taking the driver's seat. They continue onward until the bus can no longer proceed through the rugged terrain. With no other option, they disembark and begin climbing on foot. Supported by the others, John struggles but manages to ascend the mountains. When they finally reach the summit, the sight before them is breathtaking. The vast Clark impact crater stretches below. Everything they had heard is true: fertile soil, clean water, and clear skies untouched by radioactive winds. Overwhelmed with relief, John asks them to pause and rest, visibly content that they made it this far together. Then, quietly, he collapses. With peace in his eyes, he says he can finally rest, knowing his family has reached safety. Soon after, John passes away. Nathan honors him by repeating the same words his father once spoke, a final tribute. In that moment, he accepts the responsibility of helping build a new world, one founded on kindness, compassion, and understanding.